Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another Vintage Cube draft. Haven't had all my coffee this morning, but I am excited to play Vintage Cube still. So we could take like a Uraga Tree Speaker out of this pack. This is generally a pretty strong green mana dork. There's a Tropical Island. There's also Grim Monolith. Yeah, I think those are the cards to like pick from. I don't really like Portent that much as a first pick. I think I'm going to take Grim Monolith. Yeah, I think this card is slightly more applicable than Uraga Tree Speaker in a lot of decks. But who knows exactly what we're playing yet. We could have had a decent green deck with Tree Speaker, Elvish Mystic. I think I'm going to draft the Signets deck again. It was a ton of fun. And I mean, like, there's Tangle Wire, so like hopefully we can wheel a Tangle Wire. But I don't think Signet Storm is a deck. I could take a Brain Freeze, and then just like, if this doesn't work out, play Storm. I know that I say that like I end up drafting Storm all the time, and I don't really want to do that. I have a ton of fun, but I don't know that it's interesting to watch for everybody when there's so many things you can do in Vintage Cube. I could take an Arbor Elf, I could take a Lotus Petal. I think I'm just going to take the Brain Freeze, though, and we'll see what happens. Okay, there's Tinker and Blightsteel in the same pack with a Remand. So I'm going to take Tinker. We could end up in like a sweet Tinker for Bolas's Citadel Storm deck, and that would be different. I'm hoping Blightsteel wheels, but there's no guarantee of that. We definitely take Tinker, though, 100%. Okay, there's an Inkwell Leviathan, Metalworker, Phyrexian Metamorph, Brainstorm. I think I have to take Inkwell just to have a safe Tinker target. Metalworker will probably wheel unless somebody else has been picking up a lot of artifacts. You know what? I'll take Metalworker. We'll try and wheel the Leviathan. Now just watch as neither Blightsteel nor Leviathan come around, and then it's just like, alright, what are you going to do now, Kano? And I'll be sad and have to find something else to tinker for, I guess, like a Sundering Titan. I guess I'll take a Memory Deluge. We have Izzet Signet. And we are going to be trying to cast a Tinker, so like maybe this is good in this deck. We just like ramp out a Deluge, find Tinker, and then win. Memory Jar. Memory Jar is decent in a deck like this. The Lotus Bloom is good for the Storm aspect, but is not so great for the artifacts part. Green appears to be pretty open. We've seen dorks coming around the table, and there's an Oracle of Moldiah. We'll have to kind of see how the wheel packs look, but this could actually be an upheaval deck. There's Bolas's Citadel. Alright, let's tinker for Bolas's Citadel. That seems like fun. Portent came all the way around. Someone took Tree Speaker and Trop. So, I don't think this is going to be a relic deck. I'll take Portent. Tanglewire, Mystic, Chartacourse, and Orzhov Signet. I'm not a huge fan of Orzhov Signet. Reality Chip is really good if you're playing green-blue, and you can just like stick this on a dork and then continue to play stuff out of your deck. I'm going to take the Signet, though. I want to be able to tinker somewhat frequently. So Mirari's Wake is a mana doubler. It's probably the most awkward because it forces you to include white, though we did have some success with it. We didn't actually cast it that much the last time we played like 4-color Storm, which I think was the video prior to this one. I'm going to take a Lotus Petal. It's good for Storm. I guess we'll take a Wrath of God for the sideboard. You never know when it'll be useful. At least Inkwell came around. No Blightsteel, though. Yeah, I mean, if we're storming, Electroman, and Gilded Drake is fine. There's some situations where, like, your opponent cheats out something huge, and then you're just like, alright, it's a 3-3, and I get it. Instead, this would be the worst Chrome Mox deck, because we have so many artifacts that it wouldn't be that great. We could take a Thassa's Oracle, Brain Freeze ourself. That wouldn't be too unreasonable. This probably is not a Dig Through Time deck. We could take Hangerback Walker. I mean, we have Metalworker, so, like, Hangerback Walker... you could just cast a huge Hangerback Walker and then tinker that away to get a whole bunch of Thopters. We could take Karn. I don't think this is a Pyretic Ritual deck. I'm going to take Hangerback. Okay, I do like Signets. Signets for this deck are great, as is Tezzeret the Seeker. I don't have anything crazy good with Tezzeret. We do also have to be careful about taking high mana stuff if the plan is to like tinker Bolas's Citadel Storm. I think we're going to see if we can wheel Tezzeret. He would be a lot better if we did have that Lotus Bloom, because then you just -X get a Lotus Bloom, and he's like this weird ritual that could like shuffle your deck. Although shuffling your deck is somewhat important with Bolas's Citadel. Portent and Citadel is actually kind of nice. I'm going to take the Signet, though. Okay, there's a Golos. Golos is pretty big if we end up with like a Tolarian Academy, because then we have a tutor for Talarian Academy, and that's really good. Muldrifter is not the worst thing to ramp into. You can just, like, cast spells and draw cards, and then, you know, Storm will find a way. This is not really an aggressive deck for, like, a Scrap Heap Scrounger. We have nothing that Arid Mesa would help us fix for. We're probably playing a lot of basic islands, so I'm just going to take Muldrifter. Okay, there is a blue Signet. There's a Tundra. There's Mindslaver, which is not an unreasonable Tinker target, as is Sphinx of the Steel Wind. Or we can take Fact or Fiction, or like Pestermite. We're probably not playing red, despite us having a Electromancer, unless we can splash for it easily. Fact or Fiction is really good. It's another thing that's like Memory Deluge, where you can just ramp into it and cast it. But I have a Memory Jar. I think I'm going to take the Signet. Just having a ton of Signets in a deck like this is really good. We could actually play Oath. It would be better if we had Blightsteel, because then we could just, like, run no creatures except Blightsteel, and then we could either Tinker for it if we wanted to win, or we could Tinker for Citadel if we needed to Storm. Because these two game plans are kind of opposed to each other. You don't want to Tinker for Citadel and then have an Inkwell Leviathan on top, because then you have to pay 9 life for 1 Storm count. I think we're going to take Daze to maybe kind of protect this game plan. Jace is pretty good. He's especially good if you end up with, like, Time Walk or Ancestral Recall, because he can flash stuff back. Shelldock Isle is pretty good, but I have no interaction, and Daze, at worst, can just be a free Storm count. So I'm going to take Daze. Preordain for this deck would be pretty good, just to help us get through the deck a little bit faster. There's Shark Typhoon. Shark Typhoon is an alternate Storm win condition. It's like, if you're just going to be casting a bunch of spells, you can just make a bunch of Sharks. And of course Manamorphose would be good, but I'm going to take the Preordain. Anything like Portent and Preordain are really nice top deck manipulation for Citadel. This could be a Show and Tell deck, like we could Show and Tell Citadel as well. The problem is with Show and Tell specifically, every time I've cast it except once, I've lost. Like, I've done things like Mind Twist my opponent down to 1 card, and then cast Show and Tell, and then put in Kozilek, and my opponent puts in Emrakul. Like, I've had crap like that happen to me, so I'm really gun-shy with this card. I'll take Watery Grave, because it can fix for Citadel, if we need to hardcast Citadel. This is a good Gilded Lotus deck. This would not be a bad Bone Shredder deck, either. There's Dragon's Rage Channeler and Ignite Memories, so if we did want to go like the Blue-Red Storm route, we can. The thing is, I don't think that's really going to be an option. Gilded Lotus does let us just hardcast Citadel, so I think we're going to do that. Dig Through Time is another awkward thing with Citadel. We don't have a bunch of fetch lands and cheap stuff to put stuff in the grave. I'm actually thinking we might want like an Unburial Rites here out of this pack, just on the off chance that, like, maybe we end up dumping something big in the grave, but I'll take Dig. We'll see. Okay, this would be a decent Duretti deck. Duretti can get back Inkwell. Duretti can get back Bolas' Citadel. Duretti can throw away, like, excess lands to draw more cards, and I'm pretty sure the alt can win us the game with, like, Memory Jar. K-Command is really good, but I don't have, like, a lot of ways to splash for it. It's kind of a double off-color splash when we were thinking of splashing red anyway. I guess I'll take a Scrap Heap Scrounger. I'm probably not playing it. Sphinx is nice because it does give me a backup win condition. I'm going to take Jace over Oath. There's not a lot of stuff I want to Oath for. We have no big Eldrazi, but, I mean, I did just get a Progenitus. Progenitus is nice, but, like, it doesn't... It's not like the Eldrazi where it wins the game instantly. It's got to stick around a bit. And it's difficult to remove, but, like, you know, I really like Time Spiral here. The thing is, if we're casting a bunch of Signets and we're ramping, something like Time Spiral is really good. Any draw 7 is good because you can put a bunch of Mana Rocks in play and then force your opponent to mulligan their hand while reloading yours. And that's, in general, a pretty good effect. The problem is, if you don't have a bunch of lands, you're missing out a ton of value on Time Spiral because you're only untapping, like, 2 or 3 lands. We could take a Basalt Monolith, but we missed Tezzeret, which is like the artifact untap cheat for Basalt Monolith, and we don't have an Upheaval or anything. I could just take Prismatic Vista and have better fixing. That's probably the more reasonable thing to do, but Time Spiral is such a fun card, I'm going to take it. Miscalc, Mishra's Workshop, Hullbreaker, Horror. I guess, are my picks here. Because I have Metalworker, and because I have so many Signets and a Grim Monolith and Citadel and such, I'm going to take the Workshop, even though this is probably more likely to wheel. There is only one. Whereas, like, Miscalc, there's Mana Leak, there's Counterspell, there's Daze, which we have. Remand already went by. But, like, there's other versions of this effect. Even if Miscalc is probably one of the better ones for this deck, because we can cycle and just draw a new card. There's Snapcaster Mage. This Dak Faden Coercive Portal is really good. Let's see. Academy Ruins Memory Jar is a thing. We missed Mindslaver. Dak Faden is really good. He is a repeatable loot. We can steal powerful artifacts from our opponent. We probably have a light red splash anyway. Let me think about this. This would be a decent Force of Will deck, but not a huge fan of it. Snapcaster is nice because we do have, like, Portent Preordain. But this is, like, way better if you have Ponder, Ancestral Recall, Time Walk, and a couple of other cheap spells, like if you're playing, like, the blue-red deck with Bolt. I think I take Coercive Portal here. Dak Faden is really good, but I think this is a little bit better. Is this a channel deck? Not really. Our big spells do not appreciate with value with a channel. This might be Narset. Here, we do have a draw 7, which she does synergize with. And I'm realizing the, like, Storm deck that we had a million draw 7s, I actually passed Narset for something else. I don't remember what I took over it, so I hope it was worth it. But, I mean, obviously it was, because of how the result of that league went. But, or we can take a Worn Power Stone. We have a lot of ramp already, and we don't have, like, a Mox or anything. Yeah, I'm going to take the Narset. Okay, Inquisition's good, Mana Leak's good. Divining Top is good. Divining Top Bolus's Citadel is actually nuts. Because then it's just like, oh yeah, we'll always have something to cast as long as we have mana to spin the top. Lodestone Golem, Battle Ball. Battle Ball is a decent Tinker target. But I think we take Divining Top. Lodestone Golem is like the exact opposite of what I want to be doing. Probably what I should be doing is not doing the Citadel trying to storm thing. I should probably just be strictly in the Artifacts deck, but... Okay, Monastery Mentor is a win condition. We can just play a Monastery Mentor and cast a bunch of stuff. I like Frantic Search, though. And in a deck like this, it can be quite good, because it digs us to Tinker for free. It can Ritual if we cast it off Citadel, and we actually want mana, because we're running out of life. Oblivion Stone's good. I think I'm just going to take Frantic Search. There's an Underground Sea, there's Brawl, and High Tide. High Tide Time Spiral is really powerful. I'm sad to pass up a Retrofitter Foundry for it. We already have Watery Grave. Our only non-island is probably going to be Mishra's Workshop and, like, maybe a couple of mountains. There's a Xander's Lounge. We have Frantic Search. We do not have Turnabout, but we have Time Spiral. I think this is worth it, because you can just, like, High Tide into a big threat. Cryptic Command, Glenalandra Archmage, and Opposition, and Beergate. Beergate would be nice because we are kind of thinking about being red already. Otherwise, we can just take Cryptic. This, like, does stuff. Gives us a little bit of a control-y element to this deck. It's kind of expensive. We will not be having enough creatures at any point to Opposition, which is sad, because Opposition is broken. And then there's Glenalandra Archmage, which is just in general a really good card. I'm going to take Cryptic. We are basically mono-blue. This is not a GT deck. This is a fairly reasonable Brazen Borrower deck, because just unsummoning a permanent that they get cheated into play is, like, really good. But I think I'm going to take this just for the fixing. I'm kind of surprised it came all the way around. Hullbreaker Horror, I guess, is the only thing in this pack with, you know, that's in our colors. It can't be tinkered for, but it is a really powerful finisher, because you can just, like, eternally bounce everything they cast back to their hand, as long as you can cast stuff. Academy Ruins. This is an Academy Ruins deck. We have no way to recycle permanents and stuff that we cast. We don't have LED, which would make Underworld Breach insane. Because LED, Underworld Breach, Brain Freeze is just a combo. So I'm going to take Snapcaster Mage, because we never saw LED. And we're kind of going to stick to this game plan. Worn Power Stone came around. I can take a Worn Power Stone. I guess if we give up on the Storm plan, I want a Lodestone Golem in the side. And I'll go with an Oblivion Stone inside, and Bayou. Okay, what the heck am I doing? I was gonna try and, like, honestly, I was, like, leaning towards Storm the entire time, but honestly, I just built, like, a bad Tinker deck. We did not, like, what would have made this deck insane is if we had gotten Upheaval, would have made this deck insanely good. If we had gotten... I'm trying to think of the other cards that we saw during the draft. Because there were a couple that were unfortunate that we had opened in the same pack, like Remand as an example. If we'd gotten Blightsteel, we could have just straight done Tinker easy, no problem. And this deck is not a particularly good Tinker deck because we have no Moxen. We only saw Chrome Mox, we didn't even see Mox Diamond. We don't even really need this Watery Grave because the only black spell that's going to be in this deck, odds are, is Bolas's Citadel, which we're only going to be cheating either with Duretti. Let's see, I have one black Signet and I guess a Lotus Petal. Yeah, so like this is never going to be hard cast, ever. I guess off a Gilded Lotus. I could Gilded Lotus for Bolas's Citadel. This is not a Dig Through Time deck. Hangerback Walker Bolas's Citadel is a combo. That's a free storm count. Same with Lotus Petal, which is a spell, not a land in this deck. Okay, what do we do here? We're not playing Scrap Heap Scrounger. Let's take the cards we're definitely not playing out of the deck. Like 100%, they will never be cast. Hullbreaker Horror, I actually kind of like. This is a decent, like, we could ramp into it thing. It's better if you have a lot of instants, because then you can trigger its ability at instant speed, and then it's just really good. This is a card, like, I want to play in Modern Battle of Wits, just because it's insane top end. You can't counter it, it has flash, but, like, in every other circumstance, what does it do? It just sits in your hand. Like, okay. I may not need to play Narset, though we do have 2 blue Signets, so we can kind of accelerate into our down tick and then, like, maybe cast a Preordain after the fact. I'm not sure. We don't have a ton of stuff that synergizes with Goblin Electromancer. I mean, like, we have some spells, and, like, Frantic Search, Time Spiral get really, like, a ton better with Electromancer, as does Brain Freeze, but... Do I side out an off-color Signet, as in Orzhov Signet? Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 early artifacts for Tinker. I guess 6 if you count Hangerback Walker on 1. Or I could sack Lotus Petal, which would be funny. I'm going to take out Gilded Drake. I think Gilded Drake in a deck like this is easy sideboard material. It is removal. You know, if your opponent is, like, reanimating Grizzlebrand, you can just take the Grizzlebrand, like, and leave them with a 3/3. It's going to be kind of a tough Cryptic Command deck. We can bring it in if we want more protection. The only protection I have is Daze, but Daze is a protection spell that contributes to the game plans that I want. Because Daze is something you can use to, like, you can Tinker on turn 3, they can have a counter spell, and you can Daze the counter spell off your island. Like, that's actually fairly decent. I need to cut 7 cards. That's a lot. I feel like I have competing game plans here. It's because I do. I'm going to take out Sphinx of the Steel Wind. Our Tinker targets are going to be Citadel and Inkwell, which really it should probably just be Citadel, but I don't like playing Tinker with only one target, because the chance that you draw that target is, you know, theoretically, like, you know, the permutation of opening hand plus 1 over deck size remaining per draw, but I'm no mathematician, but what that ends up being is 100% of the time it's in your opening hand. So our draw spells are Memory Deluge, Narset, kind of our cantrips, Jace, Snapcaster, and Time Spiral. We have Muldrifter, Memory Jar as well. So we actually have a decent number of draw spells. Narset's decent with Memory Jar too. So maybe we do keep Narset. We do have 2 draw 7s. I keep forgetting about Memory Jar. Which you do have to be careful with Memory Jar, because the cards in your hand you lose until... so, like, if I'm trying to storm off and Brain Freeze is in my hand, I can't sack Memory Jar without casting Brain Freeze. And the only way I have to recycle this out of the grave is Snapcaster Mage. I guess Jace Flip, but... This is tough. I think I'm going to pause the recording and try and build this deck, because I really need to think about this. Okay, I'm not quite done yet, but I've gotten a lot closer. I have made an executive decision, and that is to only run Bolas's Citadel as my Tinker target. Late game, if we're like trying to combo off, we can Tinker for Memory Jar to keep going. Or like Sensei's Divining Top. Tinker for Sensei's Divining Top is something that would sound really awesome. I cut Memory Deluge specifically because I don't know that we're ever going to flash it back. Casting it in like as we're setting up to win is decent, so like paying 4 mana to get 2 cards is fine at instant speed. The problem is if we ever hit it off Bolas's Citadel, this says lose 4 life, do nothing. Because you search the top 0 cards of your library. Because it counts the mana spent. So you cannot cheat Memory Deluge, because if you do, you get nothing. And really I only need to cut like 2 more cards. I mean, if I cut Duretti, I'm basically mono blue. The problem is Duretti is really good for numerous reasons. Because, like, if we resolve a Duretti and there's nothing going on, we can just draw cards until we can win, and so on and so forth. The one thing that's going to be really critical with this deck is the only way we have to buy stuff back from the grave is Snapcaster Mage or Time Spiral, and draw it again. So, we have to be very, very critical of how that happens. And I gotta cut 2 cards. 2 cards. What are my worst 2 cards? It might be Portent. We gotta have something worse than that. Maybe it is Hangerback Walker. I mean, Hangerback Walker is technically just a Storm count for 0 mana. This is where we're running into like our competing archetypes problem. Because like cards that are not good in Storm are amazing because we have Mishra's Workshop. And cards that are usually amazing are a little bit less amazing. Like High Tide Mishra's Workshop is not exactly a combo. Alright, I'm going to agonize over this a little bit more and I'll get back to you. Okay. I cut Gruul Signet and Portent. Gruul Signet does give me 1 less red source for Duretti, but I don't think that's actually a problem. We do still have Izzet Signet. We'll have, I think, a Mountain, Lotus Petal, and Gilded Lotus, which give me 5 red sources. It is the only red card in the deck, so I think that's fine. So we're going to go Prismatic Vista, Mishra's Workshop, 1 Mountain, no Swamps, and just all islands. Because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red sources, although one's kind of late. And then, yeah, we'll see what happens. This deck will be interesting, that's for sure. I'll see you guys in round 1. Alright, I think we will be keeping this. This is kind of a slow hand, but we can start looting with Jace and then play an early Coercive Portal on turn 3, or not. We're getting duressed. Opponent probably takes Coercive Portal, just to stop us from drawing a bunch of cards. Unless they think they can win either before that comes down, or they have another hand hate spell. So they take my Acceleration, that's fine. Draw Worn Power Stone. So play an island, pass the turn. Opponent's turn. They play a swamp, they Night's Whisper. Okay. We draw a Gilded Lotus. Play Jace. Pass the turn. Opponent's turn. They Bloodchief's Thirst Jace. We draw Brain Freeze. Play Worn Power Stone. Pass the turn. Next turn we can Gilded Lotus into Coercive Portal. They cycle a Raffine's Tower, which I think is just a cycling land for them, it looks like. This might be them... I think they're on Reanimator, and this might be them splashing, like, Flashback on Burial Rites. We draw Izzet Signet. So we can play a land. Play a Gilded Lotus. If they're on Reanimator, I don't want to Brain Freeze them. But I do want to cast Coercive Portal. So pass the turn. We have a bunch of mana, and opponent is not doing anything. So we untap, we vote Homage, draw a Simic Signet, draw a Mountain, play a Mountain, pass the turn. These are probably just going to be Storm count at this point. We don't need a particularly high Storm count either. I think right now we'd have to get to 8, which, I'm trying to think of what would give us that. Okay, Collective Brutality, they're ditching a Woodfall Primus. I mean, I guess I'll Brain Freeze them, because that's the only card they can take. Probably just gives them a better option to reanimate, though. It did not. That's good. So they can Woodfall Primus if they have a decent reanimation spell, which it looks like they do. Animate Dead on Woodfall Primus is pretty bad because they can take out Coercive Portal, and then we just have to draw cards, like good cards, without any draw assistance. Exhume. Okay, well, we can put a Jace into play. They kill Coercive Portal. So as long as they don't kill Jace, we do get 2 draws this turn. We get a Daze. I can flip Jace. If I like cast a Signet, Daze the Signet, and then loot, then I could cast Brain Freeze. Let's see. Signet, Daze, loot, into maybe a spell, and then flashback. I think I'd be 1 off. No, I'm a few off, because it's 3. I don't really want to do that. Guess I'll just loot with Jace. See what we draw. It's an island. I'm going to ditch the island. We'll just pass. I think the way we're going to win, if we're going to win with Brain Freeze, is by casting these Signets in a single turn. We have enough mana, so, like, we don't really need any more. So we're taking 6 here. We're going to 12. We have a few different live draws. Opponent plays a Lotus Petal, so if they, like, hard cast a Grave Titan here, we could daze them. Hey, it's Grave Titan. Daze you. Good old Force Spike. Alright. We untap. We draw Mishra's Workshop. Let's go ahead and loot. I guess we ditch the Workshop. If I don't flashback something this turn, I don't get to flashback anything ever. So I guess we go mill him, I suppose. Play Signet. Play Signet. Play land. Flashback. Brain Freeze. So there goes our primary win condition. This is more of a we get to see what's in their deck situation. They are definitely Reanimator. They have Animate Dead, Recurring Nightmare, Putrid Imp, Grief, and of course Exhume. So I think they attack and kill Jace here, unless they want to really put pressure on us. Yep, they're going to keep attacking me. It's times like this I wish I'd taken Brazen Borrower. We go to 6. We get 1 draw. I mean, we could preordain into Time Spiral, but I don't know what, yeah. Okay. So, opponent is on Reanimator. What are we doing? I definitely want Cryptic Command in the deck. I may actually want Hullbreaker Horror as well. And maybe Sphinx of the Steel Wind. So if I was going to bring in these spells to try and make my deck better, what am I taking out? I could actually bring in Oblivion Stone as a board wipe, but I think I've cut enough artifacts that Metalworker is actually bad. Like, it's bad unless I specifically Mishra's Workshop it on turn 1. I think I'm going to cut Hanger back. Maybe I don't want Sphinx. Okay, we'll try it like this with Hullbreaker Horror. Like, we could loot it into the grave, and if they exhume, we can get a huge creature. Alright, it's a Tinker hand. We'll keep. This is a turn 3 Tinker. We could, like, preordain into a Daze. That'd be nice. There's a Grim Monolith. Grim Monolith does actually allow me to Tinker next turn, and I can get Citadel and then maybe just go off. Hopefully we do not get Duressed. I guess if we do, we try and set up for a Memory Jar. Okay, we did not get Duressed. We draw a Snapcaster Mage. So, play an eye. Oh, I don't actually have the ability to Tinker this turn. Because I can play Grim Monolith, and then I can go like Signet. But they are going to Entomb. They Entomb Woodfall Primus. Alright. Play a Signet. Play a Signet. So this way, whatever they blow up with Woodfall Primus, we can still Tinker. Okay, they don't Entomb anything. Let's Tinker away the Simic Signet. Maybe Grim Monolith was a better pick there. We'll get Bolas' Citadel. Cast Coercive Portal. Alright, opponent just gives up. Sure, run it back. I mean, we did what we came here to do, and that was to Tinker out of Bolas' Citadel, so can't complain. We have days to stop early reanimation shenanigans. The opponent is likely going to try and reanimate as fast as possible. I think we can keep because we have Muldrifter. Opponent does mulligan to 6 cards, which is good news for our game plan. They lead on a Swamp into a Crypt Breaker. We untap into a Signet, play an island, pass the turn. I mean, as long as... Okay, they're not ditching anything this turn. They're getting aggressive instead. That's fine. They're going to Entomb. If this is Reanimate, we can Daze it. And I mean that by the literal spell Reanimate, the 1-mana Reanimate spell. Okay, Grief. Interesting Entomb choice. We draw a Divining Top. Just going to run out an Izzet Signet here. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a Swamp. I will Daze a Liliana. I don't want them to pick up Grief with Liliana's downtick. That would be bad. TM. We draw Time Spiral. Time Spiral is a good Magic card. Yeah, we're going to play top and spin top. I could cast a Coercive Portal next turn. I guess I want to draw a Coercive Portal out of those options. I can shuffle away the lands with Prismatic Vista, which I'm probably going to do. Opponent plays a Swamp and is passing. We untap. We draw a Coercive Portal. Because I have red mana off Izzet Signet, I'm not going to fetch a mountain. This is a High Tide deck after all. I'm just going to fetch up an island. And I'm not actually going to cast Coercive Portal this turn. I'm going to leave up Snapcaster Daze or Topspin here. Opponent ditches Woodfall Primus, makes a zombie. Okay. They go to combat. They attack us for 2. That's fine. And then pass. So, Divining Top. Hullbreaker Horror, Gilded Lotus. Kind of a fan of Gilded Lotus here. We untap, draw Gilded Lotus, play an island, play Gilded Lotus, pass the turn. That's a pretty good Woodfall Primus target. Opponent ditches a Lotus Petal for a zombie. We are to the point we can Time Spiral if we want to, but we have to waste quite a bit of mana to do it. Maybe I should have just evoked Muldrifter, but I don't... Like, opponent might be playing scared of a counterspell. They're not. Okay. So, Woodfall Primus, definitely going to take out Gilded Lotus. So, spin the top. That's really not great. I'll have 6 mana. It's probably just going to be a Time Spiral turn next turn, which means I would like to draw a land. Okay. Opponent has a whole bunch of power on the board, and we are dead next swing, unless I have like a Snapcaster to block a zombie. They should just attack for 5 and expect to swing 10 next turn, I think. Time Spiral is really dangerous because of reloading my opponent's hand, but we don't really have any other options at the moment. Okay, we draw our land. Time Spiral. Untap all our lands. We drew Bolas's Citadel. What can I do here? I can, like, Grim Monolith, Hardcast Muldrifter, block, maybe survive. The alternative is to, like, flash in Snapcaster Mage and block. That's a little bit safer, because it stops them from having sorcery speed removal. And I could still play, like, Jace, too. I think I have to do that. So let's spin the top. Frantic Search off the top helps a little bit. Helps a little bit more than Gilded Lotus, but none of those spells are good. So we can play Jace, and then either evoke Muldrifter or leave up Snapcaster Flash. And we know what's on top. We know the top 2 cards, and they don't help. So I think what we're doing is just leaving up Snapcaster to block. Which, I'll be honest, does not feel great. Citadel is going to be completely useless this game. We're getting Duressed. That cannot take Snapcaster. Okay. I don't want to block with Jace if I can avoid it. Let's see, 3 mana. They're going to Swift End Jace. They lose some life. They go to combat. They attack with everybody. So we Snapcaster Mage. Trade with a zombie. And they play a Putrid Imp. Okay. We untap. We draw a Frantic Search. So we spin the top. Yeah, none of those are helpful at all. I guess we have to, like, Frantic Search into Muldrifter Evoke, but I don't know what we could possibly draw. It's not like we have a Time Walk or anything. Frantic Search. You know, if there had been a High Tide, like, maybe we could play Hullbreaker Horror or something, but that's just not the case. Opponent knows our hand. We're going to evoke Muldrifter. Narset. Let's draw a card. Lotus Petal. Yeah. Alright. Opponent got us. I'll see you guys in round 2. Alright. Welcome to round 2. This hand is not fast by any means, but I mean, we have Time Spiral. We'll be drawing and looting extra cards. We can cast Already. Yeah, we're gonna mulligan, actually. We can put back Citadel. We can top, but if top shows us nothing, we're kind of in trouble. I'm gonna go to 5, actually. It's a Tinker hand with our Singleton Mountain. Oh, I should have kept the 5. Alright, we'll keep 4 of these. We'll put back Island, Island, Signet. Play an island, pass the turn. You have so many terrible top decks from this position. Play Jace, pass the turn. Opponent Vampiric Tutors. They lose some life. Okay, opponent untaps. They play an island. It's looking like Storm. They got a Mana Crypt into an Ashiok. Oh no. No! You can't do this to me. It's my win condition. That's how I'm supposed to win. It's loot. That is exactly my luck, by the way. Oh. Alright, I'm gonna concede. It's like my 2 best cards. Okay, versus my opponent. I think this is an Inkwell Leviathan, Sphinx of the Steelwind situation. We're gonna cut, I think, Hangerback, Metalworker, and try like this. Just keep a hand that isn't 4 cards, please. This is maybe a hard cast Citadel hand, so we'll keep it. Not ideal at all, but hey, you know, opponent mulligan to 6. What more can you ask for? A lead on an island, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Blackcleave Cliffs. We draw another island, play the island, pass the turn. Okay. Opponent plays an island. We're getting griefed. If they take Gilded Lotus, I actually have no way to cast the Citadel at all. That's probably what they take, too, is Gilded Lotus. Okay, they took Citadel and played Dark Confidant. Cool. We draw Brain Freeze, play an island, pass the turn. Okay. Opponent's Confidant trigger a land, of course. The traditional Dark Confidant thing to do. They play a mountain, so we do know one of the cards in their hand. They attack us for 2. Sure. We take 2, go to 18. And they play Ashiok again. They uptick Ashiok, exiling Time Spiral, Coercive Portal, and Simic Signet. All of which would have been pretty decent top decks while we're drawing an island. Let's play a mountain, play a Lotus Petal, play a Gilded Lotus. We're getting dazed? Oh no, opponent! Oh, why would you do this to a person? The answer is because it's good. No help from Confidant at all. Opponent plays Misty. Okay, so we know 1 card in their hand. They fetch up a Xander's Lounge. They uptick hitting Grim Monolith, Daze, and Snapcaster Mage. Oh, Brain Freeze, Snapcaster Mage, Brain Freeze was like my next plan to win. I don't know why, but Ashiok in this format is just so stupid good. Yeah. I guess I can win if... never mind. That's all of my win conditions, except... like Tinker for Inkwell. The problem is, if they mill Tinker or they mill Inkwell, we're just done. They milled Sphinx of the Steel Wind. Yeah, I don't know if it's because this, like, decks require individual cards to work, or because individual cards are so powerful in this format, but Ashiok is just a beating every time it is cast. I have no way to reanimate Citadel, so we are going to ditch... Do I have to ditch Brain Freeze? I think I have to ditch Brain Freeze. Okay, we drew Tinker. So play an island, pass the turn. We still have Inkwell in the deck, but we need an artifact. I actually should have held on to that island for the express purpose of discarding to Duretti. I should not have played it out. Although now that I have, I can play around Mana Leak. Okay. Opponent reveals Liliana. Liliana! Why? Why Liliana? I should have held on to that island. That's a massive punt. Frantic Search, High Tide, Divining Top. Alright. I need an artifact off the top so I could reanimate Citadel and maybe do something. Show me an artifact. That is not an artifact. Play Muldrifter. Oh. No! And they get to ult Ashiok? Oh. Yeah, that's like every way I can win. So I could technically uptick Duretti, but they're gonna exile Citadel, and then Duretti's downtick does nothing. Just nothing. I think we flew too close to the sun with this drafting strategy. I'll see you guys in round 3. I just want to do one thing that's sweet. Come on. Alright. Welcome to round 3. I think this is a mulligan. Okay, you know what? Gilded Lotus Tinker. Let's go. We'll put back an island. I'm keeping Prismatic Vista over an island because I do have, like, top, I have Portent, I have possibly a Duretti. So, you know, we want to be able to cast those things. We just need to draw a Signet. Oh, we draw the Tinker target! Okay, well, we can't even, like, Tinker for a Gilded Lotus to actually cast it. So, opponent appears to be a mono-green deck. Alright, there's an artifact we can Tinker. Play Hangerback on one. If they destroy it, we can Tinker the token. Do I just Tinker for a Mana Rock here? Oath of Druids! You can't. The worst part is, if I Tinker, it leaves a token behind, and now they're gonna Oath of Druids me. Oh, I'm just getting hard countered. Can I do anything about this? Tinker... Hangerback. Yeah, we're gonna have a token. What helps? Grim Monolith helps. Some. But Grim Monolith does not let me Gilded Lotus into Citadel immediately. I can get... Metalworker can give me 4 mana. That would let me cast Bolus's Citadel. Yeah, okay. Pass the turn. It's like, oh, it's a green deck. It's not playing any creatures. We might actually get to cast something. Oath of Druids. They only had to flip 2 cards and they have Channel Emrakul in their deck. Oh my gosh, this is so unnecessarily brutal. So I just have to, like, opponent says Metalworker, question mark? Yeah, that's right. Play Prismatic Vista, fetch, play an island. If I can storm off and they don't have any other big Eldrazi's, I can Brain Freeze them to death, which is not looking super promising. Okay, play Gilded Lotus, triple black, 1/2, Citadel, island. Okay. Yep. Oath of Druids. Oath of Druids. Yeah, I guess this is a Gilded Drake thing. We don't need Hangerback or Metalworker, that's for sure. I guess I would want Cryptic. Okay. Oh, it's just like... we might be getting got by the O3 police for our crimes against drafting. Yeah, I've never tinkered for a metalworker, that's for sure. Alright, I would like to play first. We are holding Citadel, we have a Signet. If opponent has an Oath hand, this hand is actually fine, so I am going to keep this. Opponent also keeps 7. Lead on an island, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Forest into a top. We draw Muldrifter, which we will be evoking. Play an Izzet Signet, pass the turn. They spin the top on their upkeep. They must be looking for lands. They play a Plains. That's interesting. They spin the top again. We untap. We draw an island. Evoke Muldrifter. Draw some cards. We get a Gilded Drake. Play an island. We're not going to Prismatic Vista because we may need to shuffle either post Citadel or if we get a top activation. We untap. We draw Frantic Search. Play an island. Play a Gilded Lotus. Pass the turn. We are under exactly no pressure. Okay, opponent plays a Forest into a Courser of Crufix with a Thragtusk on top. Spins the top. We also can't win with Brain Freeze, so we've got to figure something else out. How do we win, actually? They leave Thragtusk on top. Okay. That's a good question. How do we win this game? Play Bolus's Citadel. Cryptic, Bounce Courser, draw. Daze. Okay, Prismatic Vista. Crack. Get a Mountain. Mishra's Workshop. That doesn't help. Okay. Pass the turn. How do we win this game? We might have to steal a creature with Gilded Drake. That might be how we're winning this game. That would be awkward. We could have like a Bolus's Citadel activation in our future. Okay, play Grim Monolith. Play Simic Signet. Play Lotus Petal. Oh, you know what we do? We play Memory Jar, we mill them out, and then we activate Memory Jar with the Emrakul trigger on the stack. So play Mishra's Workshop, which I probably shouldn't have done, but this makes casting Memory Jar really easy. Then we tap Grim Monolith, tinker, sack Grim Monolith, get a top, play a High Tide, play Worn Power Stone, spin the top. Okay, any order is fine. So then we Frantic Search, ditch 2 islands, untap some lands, spin the top, land, Coercive Portal. Well, we can't cast Coercive Portal off of Citadel or we just die. We do have 8 Storm Count now. 9 would mill for 27, and then we Memory Jar to make them draw 7. That works. Okay. So we'll just put back an island. Yeah. Okay. Brain Freeze you. Oh, Emrakul has to be in the last part of the mill, because it's not all one mill. They have Blightsteel as well. Alright, we got him. Good old Memory Jar. Oh, we need Inkwell and Sphinx, don't we? I'm glad we brought that together, but oh man, there was like no way we were actually going to Brain Freeze them. We were lucky they were holding Emrakul, which I think we might just have to be lucky again. Do we just cut the Citadel and Brain Freeze plan and just play like a bad control deck to try and win this? I suppose that's an option. I don't know how good it is. I think we just need to tinker for Inkwell or Sphinx and try and win really quickly. I have no interaction whatsoever for a Oath of Druids. So they have 2 decks. They have an Oath of Druids deck into Emrakul, and then they have this deck with all these creatures. So they expected me to side in such a way. I see. They're going to have Emrakul in their deck regardless now. I don't know why I didn't catch that as they were playing creatures. I was like, wait, how did they Oath into Emrakul? They have 2 decks. They have 2 green decks. That's insane. What do we do? Let's bring in Inkwell, and I'm going to drop Narset. Okay, well, we have High Tide. We do have a Muldrifter, which we will be evoking. I don't know which deck my opponent is playing against me, and I likely will not until... Okay, they're mulliganing pretty heavily, so I think they're playing the Oath deck. Okay, Soul Ring's pretty good. Soul Ring top, spin top. That's a turn 1. They do only have 2 cards in hand. We draw a Gilded Lotus, so play an island, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Mishra's Factory, spins top, passes. We draw a Coercive Portal. So we're going to play an island, we're going to play a Grim Monolith, we're going to play a Worn Power Stone. Then next turn we're going to play a Gilded Lotus, and probably evoke Muldrifter. Opponent plays a Forest. Yeah, they're worried about being milled out. So we're on a 10-turn clock from Mishra's Factory. I could, like, Flash Snappy in to block it. And the idea is, I guess we're going to try and, like, Inkwell with Cryptic backup or something. So play an island, play Gilded Lotus, evoke Muldrifter. We get a Daze. Daze is not going to be particularly useful. Not versus Soul Ring and 5 mana. Although if we... Never mind. I was going to say we can't Daze an Emrakul. Okay, they're playing the creature version. So we Daze a Thragtusk. That feels pretty good. We untap. We draw Mishra's Workshop. So... Play Workshop. Play Coercive Portal. And then... Untap Grim Monolith. Pass the turn. We have all the mana in the world and nothing to do with it. Okay, opponent spins top. We can cast Citadel if we draw it. We can cast Inkwell if we draw it. Opponent cannot cast much. So we untap, we say Homage. We draw a land, and we draw a land. Play a land. Pass the turn. Man, we could hard cast an Emrakul just about, couldn't we? 6, 7, 8, and 6 more. Yeah. Next turn we could hard cast an Emrakul because we have Lotus Petal, High Tide, tap 4 islands. Okay, opponent plays a Courser. They play Plains off the top. They find a Fast Bond. Fast Bond Courser is a combo. They're checking the cards underneath it. They could just draw Fast Bond. No, they had to play a Forest this turn, right? They played a Plains. Okay. They leave Fast Bond on top. They animate Mishra's Factory. They're probably playing Emrakul in this version of the deck. Okay, Homage. We draw Jace and a mountain. Play an island. Play Jace. Pass the turn. Opponent draws Fast Bond. Plays Fast Bond. Plays a land. Crop rotation on top. Spins at the top. So they can basically keep doing this as long as one of the cards in the top 3 is a land. So 2 cards out of the top 3 are Crop Rotation Oblivion Ring. They can spin the top again to see if the third one is a land. They're just going to shuffle. Mana Crypt on top of their deck. Okay, they spin top. They put a Flooded Strand on top of the deck. They gain a life. They take a damage. Yeah, Courser Fast Bond is play as many lands as you can find. They fetch, Crop Rotation's back on top of the deck. They spin again. Okay, more lands. More lands. I mean, technically, like, even when they're done with this, they could just, like, Sensei's Divining Top, draw Crop Rotation, and get one more shuffle out of the deal. Okay, they leave Mana Crypt on top. And they're going to attack us for 2. That's fine. No blocks. We untap. We vote Homage. We draw land. We draw Inkwell. Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess we're just hard casting an Inkwell Leviathan. Pass the turn. We can start looting away lands that we're not going to use. Opponent has a Blightsteel on top of their deck. Whoops. Sorry, buddy. Sorry, buddy. I didn't mean to bump you. You're all right. He was right next to my foot. I didn't notice. Okay, I'm going to draw Blightsteel. Well, the good news is one attack from Blightsteel is not lethal. Because we can jump with Inkwell Leviathan, which are words I never thought I would utter. Oh, they can't... Oh, they have a Mana Crypt. Okay, they can cast it. I was going to say, they were 1 mana away from casting Blightsteel this turn. Okay, there's the Blightsteel. Loot with Jace. Ditch an island. Untap. Say Homage. We draw Preordain and Cryptic Command. Okay, we can technically fog another attack with Cryptic. Play an island, triple blue, Preordain. It's kind of... Okay, yeah. I mean, like, those should allow us to go off. Put Memory Jar on top. Oh, I can't because I tapped Gilded Lotus. So we're going to put Citadel on top and put Memory Jar on top of Citadel. Then... Oh, we can just... Cast Memory Jar. Pass the turn, we can leave up Cryptic and flip Jace. Okay. Mana Crypt trigger. Opponent draws top. They have Garruk Relentless on top. So they spin the top. And they draw Garruk Relentless. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. I could counter and tap their creatures. But I think this is fine to let this resolve. Acidic Slime. That is not fine. So counter target spell, tap my opponent's creatures. Okay. We're going to loot away this mountain. Opponent's going to flip Garruk. They can overrun their creatures with Garruk. So flip Jace. We untap, we vote Homage, draw a Simic Signet and a land. Alright, triple black, triple colorless, Bolas's Citadel. The top card of our library is Gilded Drake? Yeah, you know what? Why don't you give me that Blightsteel Colossus? Play a land. Top is pretty great value. I could pick up Gilded Drake too. Oh, this Cryptic Command, that's awesome. Let's see, what do we do here? I never thought Gilded Drake would be the MVP here. Okay, we can just storm and see if we can kill them. We put Duretti on top, cast Duretti. Lotus Petal, Simic Signet. Sack Petal for blue. High Tide. Uptick Duretti. Oh, I might actually need him to reanimate. Might actually need him to reanimate an artifact. Okay, they did put Emrakul in the deck. Okay. So we need to get a mill down to below 7. Kill you with Memory Jar. We did it! We stole Blightsteel. And that's likely how we were going to win. I think I could have just untapped and killed him with Blightsteel. Where's the fun in doing that? Come on. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined. And remember, you can follow me on Twitch. Same username over there as you find me on here. I do have a link to my Discord and Patreon in the description below. And I tend to stream on Sundays at the moment, at least once a week. So it would be a huge boon if you followed me over there. I'm going to hopefully start pre-recording more videos. I love playing Vintage Cube. It's so much fun. It's so silly. And it's different every time.
So I'm going to have a lot more of these recorded if I can, because there's still 23 days of Vintage League available. So I can have a bunch of these recorded, and they will be coming out for a while. So anyway, y'all are wonderful human beings. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!